So we're YTT.
Welcome. We're at Let Soul Work Studio, Miscellaneous Straw, and we're here and on episode 3 to talk about our LYTT training that's coming up. Live Your Yoga Teacher Training. And I'm accompanied and Kayla, who are teachers at Soul Work Studio in Brooklyn, New York, and they're going to share their yoga teacher ex- experience. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Who's going first? So you're gonna ask
I'm
the
gonna ask
question?
some questions. This is Pop, Mom and Pop, by the way. And so, Hattie,
Hey, Pop.
what is it that you're bringing to the training as a yoga teacher?
If I can reframe that question, what I would like to talk about what I got out of my training is, and that would essentially what I'm hoping to bring to this training. I did my teacher training 13 years ago in 2013 with Three Sisters Yoga. And actually, the advice that I give to people of when they choose what studio or what program to take for their 200 hours, I did the exact opposite of what my advice usually is. And I tell people to get to know the studio, the teachers, to establish a rapport and to find resonance within that space. But that back then, I chose the option that was the most accessible to me. I chose someplace that was affordable, and there was clearly a deeper meaning of why that I chose that place, even though I didn't understand it. So Three Sisters was the name of the program, and I come from a family of three sisters, so that was one of the reasons why I chose that program. Um, it already felt like something familiar, but I also learned that Three Sisters is it's a traditional indigenous agricultural process, and corn, beans, and squash, right? So it's that symbiotic relationship that the three are not just grown together in a garden, but they make each other stronger with their presence, and they nourish the ecosystem in a whole. And that's really similar to what we do in teacher training. Our Three Sisters is three essential elements: the mind, the body, and the spirit. And we work to cultivate a balance of those three to find resilience within ourselves and to get to know ourselves better. Um, and I'm hoping to share that in our training that starts in September.
Three sisters. The corn,
Beans and the squash. So the corn is going to provide a trellis for the beans to grow. The beans will nurture the soil, and then that allows the squash to spread out and provide as ground coverage for the soil.
which also helps retain the water in the soil to keep. Yeah, because the squash provides so much shade and coverage that
Exactly.
it helps keep the water, the moisture level there.
Exactly.
So,
wow, I love that.
Like our inner balance, right?
Yeah. And so, was there anything that showed up unexpectedly in your yoga teacher training?
Yes. Yes. I mean, 13 years ago, I was definitely a more progress and oriented results kind of person. And so my practice was about being more flexible, being stronger. And I signed myself up for teacher training because I wanted to learn how to handstand in the middle of a room. That was one of the sole reasons. But the experience it showed something different. Um, it was really a shared and intimate opportunity to keep coming back together with my trainees, and it felt like a lot of times like coming back to have dinner together, breaking bread at a table as a family. So things are revealed to you. You know, it's yogic philosophy, it's subtle body, it's chakras. It's not just the shapes, but it's about how we feel within those shapes and what we can relate to about ourselves within those shapes. And that's what I learned, that it is a practice over time. As you start to embody the practice, I've learned that it's so much less about the physical and more so the metaphysical. It's meant to bring us to a place to transcend uh, and to be still with ourselves.
Beautiful. Boom. I love that. Thank you for setting us off and like getting the ball rolling.
yeah.
Yes.
So let's pass the ball over
Yes.
to Kayla
And
at your yoga teacher experience and training.
Yeah. Thank you, Addie. That was really beautiful.
Yes. Happy to share that.
Yeah. I think oftentimes things evolve in an unexpected way. So I'm glad you brought that realness to the space. My yoga teacher training I completed when I was a senior in college. Had been attending and work studying at the studio in which I decided to get my training. To Addie's point, had a really deep relationship with the practitioners there. This deeper I wanted it to me teaching yoga exactly. I just knew that I wanted to deepen my practice and stress, even starting to practice it from that young age. And I'm so grateful. Shout out to my mom who brought me along to classes with her. There's also, financial need, not, it's not cheap always, but she made that sacrifice and she saw the benefit for herself. And I think she wanted me to be able to reap those same benefits. And I'm so, so grateful. From a young age, I knew that it had an, and to this day, that's how I end my classes. May your yoga practice allow you to transform. That's what it has done for me so in so many ways. So anyway, YTT. 2018, 2018, I was driving back and forth from university in Maryland to Baltimore to do my weekend intensives. And what really sticks with me, the training that I went through was really, really heavy on the physical. And certainly there was anatomy, and in every yoga teacher training, there will be some level of anatomy. From that experience is really this mind body connection that I feel brings an intentionality to the yoga practice that feels really stabilizing to me. So, not just to make the perfect shape, but to be aware of how your muscles are engaged in a certain way and what does it feel like to rotate your shoulder this way and what does it feel like to rotate it that way. And there's kind of this like cultivation of like body literacy and understanding what feels good in your own body, what stabilizes. That's really, I think that's one of the things that I also am bringing as a practitioner or a trainer in this experience is that mind body connection that is really rooted in that deep awareness of where you are in space and how do you start to be in conversation with what's happening inside of you. Yeah, so that and also finding my voice. Having to be in a room and teach other people in that way for the first time using language that feels really foreign coming off of the teach yoga. And anyway, you're using Sanskrit. So it is a completely different language. So you are learning how to speak a different language. But also not just that, but being able to communicate clearly and effectively and have people understand what you're trying to, it's very scary. More confidence and a deeper sense of my voice, which has really evolved over time. But
Wow. Thank you. Wow. It sounds like a very somatic experience. And it also sounds like you know how to live your yoga off the mat because you spoke to being able to manage the circumstances in your life with grace. And so this training is called Live Your Yoga because the intention that we're holding for you is that it's more than being in the yoga room, but the yoga goes with you wherever you are. And it transforms things in your life. So Addie was talking about results, and you will receive results. You'll be able to have more patience with your own self. you'll experience more acceptance of yourself and understand that circumstances may show up unwanted and wanted. And no matter how they show up, it's how we are equipped to navigate them. And it's all encompassing, right? And so our invitation is to do life wholly and not necessarily halfly, if that's a word, which is not, but meaning that life is all things and you are the core and you're the center of that thing. And so we can learn to respond to our lives in more intentional ways. And yoga helps you to develop that stamina. It helps you to develop that acceptance. It helps you to develop that trust. It helps you to develop the community within your own self, the community of your mind, your body, and spirit all working together. So, Addie, when I think of Addie, I think of the mind because she is so astute. She's the professor of sutras. I'm sorry.
Say thank you. Thank you.
She is the philosophy, that we're going to learn during this training. Kayla, like she said, when you rotate your arm, what are you feeling? Sensation body. Like when I take her class, I feel so tuned in to even like feeling my cells. It almost feels like I could feel the kinetic energy, the cells, the vessels, everything in my body. And it doesn't mean that we don't all have these skills because we do. But when I think of Kayla, I think of that. And that is a gift that she's sharing in this training. Now, for me, it's spirit. Let's go. Okay.
Go.
And I came to yoga teacher training. Actually, I didn't choose it, it chose me. And that's a part of also learning your dharma, which is your life, your path, your purpose. And so I was at Sacred. Shout out to Sacred.
Shout out to Sacred.
That was my homegrown studio. And I really wasn't really thinking about yoga teacher training. And I was taking yoga all the time. I came to it from a place of grief. That's how I was introduced to the practice. And I found my body slimming and trimming. Okay, fine. And I also feel good. So they saw that I was practicing every day, 7 days a week. And they were like, you need to do yoga teacher training. Oh, do I? I don't think so. So that's kind of how it went. And then I was traveling and I get a call and they were like, you got the scholarship that I didn't even apply for.
Yoga literally found you.
It did.
Said you're in.
16 of us, I had the scholarship, and that was such a transformative experience that I didn't even know that I didn't know that I didn't know that I needed. And I knew that I loved yoga. Like I said, I was practicing every day. But sometimes when you hear yoga teacher training, you think that it's about you going to yoga studio and teaching other people and, having this onus placed on you that you have to fulfill in the studio model of a yoga teacher. No. Yoga teacher training, specifically this one, it's about learning the teacher and training the teacher that's already within you. We love to say the teacher's within you, but we really don't give you the tools in an hour-long class just because of the time frame to help you really access that and develop that within you and start to trust your teacher, right? So that's something else that we see for you. But in my yoga teacher training, feedback. So when you're in this training, you get individualized attention. There are 12 people and there's 3 of us. So that's a 4-person ratio, 1-to-4 ratio. And so I was getting feedback in the training and I heard it as criticism. And I associated feedback with a lack of love or whatever the case may be. And I remember going to cry, and Dara, who was the trainer, and Stephanie came out in the hall and was just like, "What's wrong?" Whatever. I told them. I was like, I just realized that your feedback means that you really love me. You care about me. And they were like, "Yes, we love you." And I no longer heard it as someone trying to hurt me. And then I started to cry because I missed out on so many opportunities to learn and to grow and become a bigger version of myself. So, yoga teacher training, it asks you to look at your blind spots. It asks you to sit in a pose, sit in a feeling, and have the tough conversation. And that conversation is really with yourself. But we're here to be a reflection of that. We're here to hold space so you can have some interaction with someone that validates your experience, right? And so we're really looking forward to living this yoga with you. And what I want to say, this training is not a retreat. It is not a retreat. So I hear that a lot. So it's not a retreat. Is there any other things you want to say about what this is not?
It is not a retreat.
Even though we will be in the beautiful Mérida, Mexico, which there's a lot of things to do. And the architecture is stunning, I hear. And we are going to Chichén Itzá for ritual. And so when the people hear that, they'll say, "Oh, I want to go on a yoga retreat." And we will be training really intently, right? Communities to visit some of the places. We will give you a break because when you do this kind of solid work, you also need that space to breathe, breathing space. So we're very well equipped, but don't come thinking that, oh, you're just going to be going to the pool. You're going to just be eating Mexican food all day. No, that's not what's happening.
It's immersion. It's you want to start to really live your yoga practice. So when we're away, it's being immersed in the yoga as a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this is where you start to embody your practice. And whether or not you ever teach a class, the teacher within you is somebody that meets you where you are on the mat each day. That's somebody, like Akila said, somebody that will listen, somebody that supports, assists, and then stays with the breath. Right. And so if you don't ever teach a class, know that this experience will change the way that you move through life. 100%.
And I will say, though, you will be teaching some classes here because that's what makes this different is that you have a part of your hours is actually getting to teach and practicing. Because a lot of people take yoga teacher trainings and they don't get the opportunity to practice. But here you'll be haggled opportunities to practice the community classes. So you'll really get a sense of being in the room and being mentored uh, along with the hours of philosophy, the books you read, and the asana labs, and all of those things.
I want to clarify. I didn't mean that even if you don't ever teach a class, we want you to teach for sure. But man, I lost my thought. This is part you'll have to edit out. I had something good and then I just lost it.
It's fine. So what you've heard is what each of the teachers have experienced in their training, what they gleaned from it, what they received that they had no idea they would receive. You heard what this training is going to consist of, what it is and what it isn't, and the joy of being in Mexico. And I'm going to be training as well, but I'm going to be a trainee. And the reason for me, I'm going to just let you know, is for clarity is for more communication skills. And as co-owner, it is only fair and it makes sense for me to actually grasp the fullness of it.
And peace. You know, cueing is so important, helping people find like Addie's the expert at cueing, I have to say. But I think of the yoga mat, the way that you cue in particular, Addie, is that you understand the map of the mat.
That's really interesting because if you ever ask me to read a map, I'm not that kind of person. But the mat is my home, so I could tell you about all four corners.
Yeah.
Yes.
So well. So you're learning from an expert because I've definitely have experienced people coming from trainings and um the cueing just wasn't there. Um it is so interesting. You know, it feels weird because it's like what happened in the training? Like cueing's not a part of it?
Cueing is absolutely a part of it, but I also think, as Kayla brought up, there's something about finding that confidence in your voice that takes time. I definitely held out my left and my right fingers for many years so that I wouldn't mess up cueing my rights and my lefts, and I think it's all just part of the process. But that is why practicing and practice teaching is so important because what you learn, um, it has to sink in, and if you don't use it, then you do eventually lose it.
And it's like what they say about if you can explain something to a fifth grader or a 5-year-old or whatever, that means that you fully like absorb and embody whatever it is. So to your points, like if you never decide to become a yoga teacher, the opportunity you get to lead classes and actually teach is a way for you to be able to really fully absorb and embody the training that you're receiving. It's a super necessary part of it.
Having aha moments. So I just had one. And that's
Uh-huh.
very that's very so I love how you say if you never become a yoga teacher. And I thought about it. Well, I had an aha moment. We're talking about the teacher within you. And when I think of or a lot of people think of, I think, a yoga teacher, they think of the studio teacher. So what I would say is if you never become a studio teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, let's refine it like that.
Yes.
Because you will be a teacher
Yeah.
and you already are, right? So we're drawing that out in you, you know, because there's levels to this life, right? There just is, right? So I've been an educator for 25 years. And so I do definitely come with a lens of education. And it's like, you know, I go from one lesson with BA and masters and things like that. And it's because that you just want to develop more skills or and actionable steps maybe to take into your life that it becomes second nature. So we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have something to learn. The learning never stops. And I feel like the more that you learn, the more you understand that learning is a lifetime continuum. So thank you for saying yes. If this resonates with you, and I would like to know if there's any last questions or last comments.
I will say if it isn't a yes for you yet, but if it has sparked any bit of curiosity within you, trust that. Trust that curiosity because that's usually the start to the journey.
Yourself to follow it and see where it leads you. The mind will always want to maybe stop you before you start, especially if you're a perfectionist, which was my experience, which started a lot of undoing in my yoga teacher training, not being afraid to do the thing and say the thing, even if I didn't know how to perfectly encourage you to notice what the stories are that are running around in your head. And if there's a spark and you notice that the story is like, well, I can't do that. And there's all these reasons why your mind is telling you why you can't, maybe try and turn that on its head. It has to feel like the right fit and give yourself the chance to see if it's the right fit.
Oh, I do have a question. When did you become aware of being able to live yoga more off of your mat? Like bring it more like, was there a shift?
Yes. I mean, look at this city that we live in. New Yorkers have a hard shell. You know, we're built with really thick skin. And when I used to work in the corporate world, I was a phone slammer. I really was. Like I didn't have to put my phone down. Every once in a while, I had another request for me on top of like 100 other requests that I was already on. Um, yoga taught me how to really soften the rough. And there's still so many rough edges of me, but it has softened those rough edges.
Mm.
I would never ever slam a phone. I would never even slam a door.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. But also I'm a Takadena and hi family. They know we can go from 0 to 60 in 1 second. You know, it's just
Wow.
they got attitude. We're hot hits.
Wow, 0 to 60, mine is 0 to 1.
Those are the weird.
Just go with your gut. Forward on something that you may have had dreams or ideas about it. Just move forward.
Ellen here, where do you see that yoga is living off you? You did open up with that though. You did open up with that. But
Yeah.
is there any other examples?
Oh yeah, there's actually one story that's coming up for me, and it was when I was work studying, and I was probably a senior in high school. Was driving and all the things, and I decided to go to like a yoga class before school. It was really early, and I was like, "But I'm gonna make it to class." And I, my brain was missing some things. And so I show up. Turns out I went to a school. I had to wear a uniform. Turns out I had forgotten like my shirt and like all sorts of things. And I'm like rolling up to school and the time is already whatever. But what I noticed is that, and I being so good all the time. And I just remember that I showed up and I didn't have my uniform. I was kind of late. All these things were happening, but I was so joyous. I was in joy. I was like my English class, and I had the giantest. I had to go to the nurse and get this giant shirt. It was like XXXXL for me. It was like down to my knees. And so it was almost not even a uniform at that point. But I show up, I'm like in this giant shirt, and I couldn't have been happier. And that's like what yoga has done for me. It's just helped me not give a shit, frankly, and just like to ease some of the anxiety and ease that perfectionism, and just know and trust that all you gotta do is breathe. Just breathe. It's your home. But yeah, I just remember that, man, being so like, that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Oh, I have a question. Like, were you about to say something? Please do.
You're seeing yoga in action right now. I was like, Mom, please, Paul, you're ready. Oh.
Yeah. How do you stay in a state of authenticity when you're presented in this world with gimmicks and pseudo, which I call pseudo spiritual, just aspects of it doesn't resonate and stick to one.
Can I reframe that question a bit?
Yeah.
So with yoga being $1 billion industry and a lot of spirituality, and what I'll say, even realness being performative. I was looking at some IG posts and it was talking about how, she's over the fake spiritual people. And one of the things that she said was, if I hear I got to download another time, I'm going to have a problem. Or if this doesn't serve you, I'm going to have a problem. And to be honest with you, that is my language. I speak spirit, and it's real and it's true. However, I do understand that I'm going to speak to a person who may be a lawyer. I may speak to a person who may be a sanitation worker. I may speak to someone who does not understand that language. So there's always has to be translation. But what people are looking for, it's not whether you speak spirit, whether you keep it real, whether you keep it anything. They can tell when you are genuine. And what has happened is that this world is looking and craving for authenticity because everything about what we're being socialized to do is to do it for the camera. And that needs to look a certain way. And before the camera existed, it looked like keeping up with what we call in our day the Joneses. Oh, well, the Joneses have this kind of house. If they have that kind of car, and they speak this kind of way, we need to speak that way too. It's not, yes, it can happen in the spiritual realm, it can happen anywhere, but it's not new. And yoga is here to liberate you from that. It is here to allow you to be the most truest you can be and accept that. Accept if you're not a spiritual speaker, so WTF, right? Like, speak how you are. Because one thing is that people want to talk about, oh, yoga is spiritual and performative now. Guess what? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. You were a spirit before you were actual physical person.
Thank you.
So it doesn't matter if you never use the language download, serve, or love and light. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. You're still a spirit. You can't take that away. So I like that question. Thank you so much. And so again, you'll know from your body what is true. Because that's another reason why I love yoga, is because yoga invites the body online and helps us drop out of our mind. So become mindless. And even though it's a mind, body, spirit connection, the mind works well when we are in touch with our bodies. It is when we're in touch with our spirit. So that's what makes it a mind body connection. And also, when you use your mind to have imaginations that aren't real or worries, it does impact your body. It becomes disease. It becomes it could be what is it, like cramps or something. It could be anything, right? And so it's just all connected. That's all. And yeah, here to live. Life does, live it does. So let's come live your yoga together in this teaching training program starting in Mérida, Mexico, September 16th through September 24th. We will have daily practices every day, and we'll have a ritual at the Chichén
Pyramid.
Yes,
On the
on
fall
the fall
equinox.
On the
equinox,
fall,
where
It's really special.
yes, where the snake descends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and then we'll be doing that prayers and all that stuff, and yeah, that's all I got.
We're also planning some really special treats, like some restorative nights, maybe partner Thai massage workshop. So there's a lot that we can add to, and we're going to be nourished from the inside out.
Yes, yeah.
Thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom and Pop.
And so the mom and pop shop,
Spiritual cashier. I love working at this bodega.
the mom and pop,
Paris, they were my boss. Yeah, it was better than my year-old job.
the mom and pop shop is at 78 Saratoga Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11233. It starts in Mérida, Mexico, and it continues at Soulwork Studio. Check us out on Instagram. Our website is letsoulwork.com, and we look forward to meeting you. Peace.
And the IG is Soul Work Studio.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Love, love.
We need like our flag.
Oh, yeah.